Wow, this is incredible.
Driving in to Chester City, you can just see the smokestacks everywhere.
You're going to feel it in your throat, in your eyes, and in your nasal passages immediately. And live with this stuff every single day is not good.
Burning recyclables, burning garbage is not a sustainable answer for communities.
This is one of the places that cities along the East Coast have been sending their garbage to for years to be incinerated. But now they're burning recyclables too. In January 2018, China banned most of the recycling coming from the US. Suddenly, 40% of the paper and plastics we put into blue recycling bins had nowhere to go, creating a crisis for cities around the country.
Curbside recycling programs across the United States that had been relying on these end-use markets in China are now stuck with trying to sort through this material. Unfortunately, we've got a decade of miseducation of the public. The public has gone forward and continued to buy the products and packaging that were accepted in their blue bin, and without realizing that, in fact, the material is not recyclable.
Cities have to decide whether to continue to ask the public to put stuff in blue recycling bins in the hope that new recycling markets will emerge, or to admit the truth, that there simply is no viable market for some plastics and paper, and send those items to a landfill or an incinerator. Philadelphia Streets Director Scott McGrath made the decision last fall to start sending half of the city's recyclables to the Covanta incinerator, a waste processing facility in Chester City, after the price of recycling tripled.
The city, quite honestly, couldn't afford to spend $170 a ton for its recycling. This was just a temporary arrangement, so we were able to get a price that was a lot more economical.
How many tons of waste and recycling are we talking about here?
There's probably about 7,000 tons on the floor right now.
So we traveled to see the Covanta incinerator, 20 miles outside of Philadelphia in Chester City, a predominantly black community along the banks of the Delaware River, whose residents have already been dealing with air quality issues for decades.
Why does 33,000 people have to carry the weight of millions? Why should I be trash manager, waste manager for millions of other people? No, we don't have to be.
Zuline Mayfield is a community activist who's been fighting for cleaner air in Chester City for decades.
At one time, it was a real vibrant community. Summer, springtime, kids playing on the porch. That doesn't happen anymore. It does not happen.
Over the years, several companies have moved in, polluting the air, including a paper mill, a water treatment plant, as well as the Covanta incinerator.
When you blow your nose, it's dark. Like you've been in a house fire or something. It's just smoky, dark.
Zuline introduced us to families who worry every day about the air they breathe in Chester, like Darlene Johnson, whose 3 children are all affected.
How has this area affected your health?
Well, throughout the years now, I was diagnosed with bronchitis. All 3 of my kids have asthma.
All 3 of them?
All 3 of them has asthma. You know, different levels, but it's still there.
You feel sick? I've always got a cough, he's always got a cough, and my daughter's trying to convince me she's asthmatic.
Christy Caponelli moved her family to Chester last year and says they're all feeling the health effects of living in a county the American Lung Association gives an F rating to when it comes to air quality.
I moved from Garnet Valley to this general location. The air quality affected my breathing almost immediately.
If you look at Pennsylvania as a whole, the asthma rate for children is about 8%. But in Chester, it's 23%. It's not reasonable to believe that Chester somehow has all the people with a genetic predisposition.
According to a 2015 EPA report, Covanta was the 2nd largest emitter of nitrogen oxide in the county, which can lead to asthma, bronchitis, and other respiratory issues. But the company denies having any adverse health impact on the area.
The EPA has benchmarks for what they consider to be acceptable risks. And these facilities meet those acceptable risk levels.
We went inside Covanta to learn more about their operation. Paul Gilman, head of sustainability, gave us a tour.
Do you know what's in that steam?
Yes, and there are monitors at the top, so-called opacity monitors, to look to see if there are particulates there.
So there is particulate matter in the air that's coming out from that. It's certain levels.
I can't say there is zero, but there is almost none.
What I'm most concerned about is the smallest of particles, the PM 2.5, because those are the ones that can easily get into the lungs and can get very deep into the lungs and can be readily absorbed in the body. So if they're coated with carcinogens and with heavy metals, those can easily get in, and those would certainly have health effects. It is difficult to correlate their health conditions with any single pollutant. It is my belief that it's really the combination of pollutants from a variety of sources.
There is evidence that some of these toxins at levels from different sources can have an adverse effect on your health.
There have been literally hundreds of studies done of monitoring populations around these kinds of facilities. What the studies are concluding is they're not seeing effects from facilities like this on people's health, either in things like measuring pollutants in their bodies or looking at the health effects that might come from it, disease and the like.
We know that there are 100 tons of particulate matter put into the air by that particular plant, and we know that there are lots of other things put into the air by a number of other emitters, but we don't really know exactly what any single person in Chester is experiencing.
This is Mother Morris.
Mother Morris has lived in Chester for decades. She's one of many people here who say their asthma has only gotten worse.
You're breathing all the time, the dirt and the smoke.
You don't see this anywhere. Anywhere do you see this like this. And it hurts my heart to know that Mother Morris, who's worked all her life to have a decent place, can't live in peace because of the trucks, the dirt. She doesn't know the science. She don't care about the science.
Philadelphia says it plans to stop burning recyclables once they're able to find an alternative.
Do you understand why people are upset that, that you're sending plastics and recyclables to be burned?
Oh yes, we are sensitive to why people consider that as an issue.
Was it a mistake? Was the decision a mistake?
Oh, what we're doing, no, we don't think it's a mistake.
The recycling crisis we're in starts long before it ends up at a landfill or an incinerator. The fact is, Americans throw away 35 million tons of plastic every year. And even before China changed its policy, only 9% of what we put into the blue bin was actually recycled. The other 91% was burned or sent to a landfill. From there, it can end up in the ocean.
Rather than spending money in these kind of short-term Band-Aid solutions of burning the leftovers, we've got to work to reduce those leftovers and recycle